Last week, we scrolled through your Untapped check-ins and we found Window Seat Daydream.
Our feature film. So grab a beer, put up your feet, and let's listen to this movie get made.
Baby, that movie, baby, that movie, baby, that movie, yeah. Baby, that movie, baby, that movie, baby, that movie, yeah. Baby, 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 movie, yeah, 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 yeah. Baby, that movie.
Okay, welcome back. So it has been like seconds for us since the end of part one. Thank you for following, subscribing, coming back to figure out what the heck, what is it, Window Seat Daydream is. We're going to figure it out right now. Woo. Okay, John. So what did I, okay, so.
Yeah, we decided this was going to be easier than Powder
We're
Jones.
gluttons for punishment and everything.
Okay, so the basis of this feature presentation is going
Yes.
to be something like someone's in a window seat,
Sure.
and we're going to put this on
I
a
like
train.
Train's cool.
And they have a daydream, and then that daydream kind of comes to fruition.
Right.
And then whether it's a series of daydreams and they have to do something to change it, or they're kind of stuck in a time loop, we'll noodle on this as we get going.
Yes.
But that's where we're going to start creating this film project.
This world, this film,
Window
right.
Seat Daydream.
Window Seat Daydream. So who should be in the window seat? Like, that's how I imagine this movie starting, is like it's darkness, and then like come out of it like a tunnel. We're inside a train. All of a sudden we understand the darkness because we're inside a tunnel, and we're looking at this person sitting in this window seat of a train, kind of, you know, twiddling his or her thumbs and zoning out the window. Maybe they've got some music. Actually, they do have, let's say they do
definitely has
have
that music
earbuds
playing.
in or whatever.
Yep, because that'll be a
Listening to
good cue for the audience when you hear that track
It'll
play
just keep
again.
restarting like Groundhog Day, but not exactly. This is our idea.
Different than Groundhog
Get out of here, Bill.
Day, but I mean that was a classic. So,
Right.
yeah.
A lot of Inception did it too. Music's important, especially in these time travel movies or time loop movies. Okay.
You just keep getting progressively harder.
We're just going to put ourselves into a hole where we have to blow up the train, but sometimes that happens in movies, folks.
Yep, that's true.
Okay.
Okay, so the protagonist.
Yes.
So since we're making this harder, I identify as an old white male, but I like the idea of this being almost like a middle-aged female,
Okay.
unknown actress, or maybe sort of known,
Right.
but I want the star of this, provided the story works out well,
Right.
to be sort of that woman that's going through a time where she feels less noticed by the world.
Okay.
So that's why she's got the window seat. She's daydreaming. She's
Right.
probably traveling alone.
Definitely traveling alone. She's got a hoodie on, got the earbuds in, maybe some glasses. It kind of looks like she's maybe hiding from something. Not obviously, but definitely, not dressed like she's going to the Oscars or whatever. So I like this. And yeah, we just jump in on her zoning out the window. And maybe we get kind of the initial setup too of the train. Is I'm imagining this is like a nicer train. This is not a commuter train. This is like, we're like in the Alps somewhere on one of those fancy trains you see on Instagram where everyone's like, it's amazing. You drive by a bunch of wild cows and this all mountains, and it's very
Beautiful,
scenic and
beautiful sweeping vistas
Yep.
outside the
Yeah,
window.
It looks fake, but it's real.
It starts kind of jovial.
Yes, exactly. So you're seeing fancy waiters walking around the bar car, people laughing, having a good time, a family and their kids running down the aisle,
Some
making
scenes
some
with
noise.
luggage. This is
Yep. There
not
we
like
go.
an hour-long train ride.
Right. Maybe you see a couple sleeper cars. Maybe that'll come in. That'll be good for the chase scene to hide. She hides in the top bunk and he looks in the bottom, or she hides in the coat closet and he only checks the beds because the coat
I
closet.
like in this intro scene, even though we haven't fully fleshed it out yet, I like the idea that this woman kind of gets overlooked, and
Yes.
I want like almost the first dialogue to be like she has to raise her hand and say like, you never brought me my lunch.
Yep. Okay.
Or the what do you call a train attendant? The train attendant.
Conductor? Yeah, or attendant, yeah.
And she comes by and she grabs like her seatmate. We're sitting two side by each here, and she grabs the empty food from the guy next to her, but she doesn't take her empty food, and she's got to be like,
hey, my garbage.
Like, no big deal.
I like
but,
that.
Just
I
that,
like
like
that.
subtle, like as the movie plays out, I don't know where this is going yet,
I like
but I like
this.
the idea that
Well,
you know,
it
like,
opens up to the fact that she could be invisible, fake. This is AI, a simulation. I like this. There's maybe a glitch in the Matrix, or maybe he just forgot to get her garbage. But it lets the audience go, what does that mean? That's probably something.
exactly. I don't even know what it means yet, but I want it to be there.
We don't, but we'll make it make sense later. We won't leave anybody hanging. I hope, if we remember. Okay, so what should her name be?
Gwen. No, we already did
We
that.
already have a Gwen. We have a Gwen in our world. I keep seeing Rebecca. She feels like a Rebecca to me.
Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Does she have to have a name for this movie?
Ooh, and she's just girl on the train.
Yep.
And there's like 10 people in the whole cast. I like this.
I mean, and it could like, because she's surrounded by strangers.
So no one ever
no
says
one
her
needs
name.
to call her by name.
Just can call her ma'am or whatever if they need to get her attention and stuff. Like that. No name.
Ooh.
Nameless.
I love where
train
this is
girl.
going. I hope it keeps going well.
And that'll help because maybe. Ooh, okay. All right, good. I've got maybe a nugget for later.
Okay.
But perfect. No name.
So we've got the intro of a beautiful train going through the mountains. We've got a couple of random. Everybody's random in this train.
Yes.
And then
Or so it appears.
And then and then the only introduction you get to our main character so far is that she's the girl who didn't get her trash picked up.
Yes.
But we're following the train attendant down the row, and she's
Right.
grabbing stuff from people, and could you get me a blanket? And and then like, you didn't get my stuff.
Yep.
That's our introduction to the protagonist so far.
Right.
So my thought is we need to flesh her out a little bit, and then give her sort of a problem.
That she needs to solve. Exactly right. And we probably don't. Well, I think her problem can almost be a bit of a MacGuffin, which, if you don't know, folks, the most famous MacGuffin is from the movie Psycho, where, gosh, I'm going to forget her name and everyone's going to yell at me, but she's running away with all the money to start the movie. And that money, you think it matters, and they're going to chase her down for the money, and it's all about the money, and she's trying to get away with the money, and she has to run because her boss saw her calling out sick from work, but she wasn't sick, and she has the money, and she's escaping. But turns out that doesn't matter. That money is just there to get her to the hotel, like it's a device, a storytelling device to move the story forward. So I think it could be a MacGuffin. She could have like a backpack she holds really tight. We don't know what the hell it is, but like when the guy comes and grabs her garbage, maybe she like pulls it away and is like, "Oh, sorry." Maybe she didn't see him at first. He kind of comes from behind, and she thinks he's got her
Coming for her
bag.
backpack.
Oh, here's my garbage. Thanks for coming. Thanks for finally getting it, or whatever. Maybe she's has a toot about it. So it could be a physical thing that clearly she's trying to escape with. It also could be nothing. We could just kind of tell by how she's looking around and how she's clearly got sunglasses on. She's got her hood up. That she's trying to. She's just trying not to be seen, trying to be inconspicuous, and what she's running from exactly may not matter. I think her problem will show up on this train in the form of whatever she sees in this first daydream.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm on the same
Yeah.
playing field, in this world, we have her trying to escape something.
Yeah, she's on there running from something. I actually don't think it matters. Her problem is going to be on the train and kind of isolated to the train. So that's like when her daydream starts. She's just kind of, garbage is gone now. She's got nothing but time on her hands, looking out the window, and just starts to zone out. And like in her zoning out, right, kind of like sees a flash of an older man grabbing maybe it's like on the train, grabbing a woman by the arm. What do you got?
Before this happens,
Okay.
we've seen the intro scene.
Yeah.
And then someone reaches for her trash.
Sure.
Can we introduce the daydream already and have someone be kind of like, "Ma'am, give me your trash," and then she wakes up and she
Yes.
realizes that she
Yes.
was dreaming about her trash being forgotten.
Right.
It was like it's not a daydream though, that's a dream.
It's a zone, but I know. But I think first of all, well, I do imagine her kind of daydreaming, like she is zoning out. But when she does it, she could kind of almost be trance-like, and that's okay.
Okay,
She's
I think
deep into
for this story to work,
daydreams.
I'm okay with that. I
Yeah.
think her
But I like
daydreams
this.
are pretty deep.
I like the first time it happens, she kind of writes it off as like a weird deja vu thing. Like she imagines that her garbage has been forgotten by this guy, and then kind of wiggles her head and comes to, and then the guy walks by again, and she like looks down and sees she sells her garbage. She goes, "Hey, I just saw you. You still haven't gotten my garbage?" And he's like, "I'm sorry, ma'am. I just came through this car right now the first time. Let me get that for you." And she's kind of like, "What?"
Yeah,
but like writes it off.
I'm getting too into it, but like in the scenes, I want there to be like the most minute changes.
Sure.
Like not like his name is Brad and then it's Larry, but
Right.
like his name tag is rectangular, and then when she's not dreaming, it's like a square. Like just like where you would never notice these changes the first time you watch it.
Okay.
Or maybe one of them, and then
Yeah.
just because I want that to turn into a Reddit thread where people are like noticing all the.
Well, or maybe these are the breadcrumbs she starts to put together, and later on she kind of reflects back and realizes that all of her daydreams are slightly different than reality in some meaningful way that we haven't discovered yet. That helps her figure out what the heck is happening to her. Man. Okay.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yep, go, John.
No, I think I just got to the finish line.
Wonderful. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
Thank
I think I've got the finish.
Great.
And we'll keep workshopping it, but if it goes too off course, I might pull you back.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
John's in the driver's seat now.
Oh,
I just get to
sorry.
kick my feet up and ride on this train. Okay, so what needs to happen next?
Okay,
kind
so
of?
we establish early on the train. Then we realize
Yes.
it was a daydream, no big deal.
Yes.
She hands her guard. So we see a little bit that she's kind of like she's aloof. She's in her own world. She's overlooked maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We need a little bit of story. There's probably something. I want other things to be happening on the train that
Okay.
could serve. It's not just like a camera focused on her. Maybe
Sure.
there's two men having a business meeting like a row back, and they're kind of talking a little bit loud, and
Good.
there's like a family with kids that keep running
Yep,
through, like these little partial breaks that happen. No one's really introduced by name just yet, but it's just I want the viewer to feel like they're almost looking in on this train full of strangers as well.
Yes, I like this. Yep, someone drops a bag and some golf balls fall out. And there's a bunch of noise that happens.
And so to not give anything away too much yet,
Okay.
but this female that's running away,
Yes.
she's running away. She's leaving behind something. She doesn't even know it yet.
Okay.
But she's leaving behind something that she's very close to.
All right.
She doesn't know this on the train in this world that we're in right now.
Got it.
But maybe these daydreams will help her start to realize,
What she's forgotten.
yes.
She's left behind. Okay. All right, great. Okay. So what
This is gonna be
John
good.
is there. All right, we're gonna get to where John is eventually. So what? Okay, so so we're on the train. Something has to happen. We need like an inciting incident now. We need something to happen for her to like kind of get out of her seat or get involved in what's going on in the train beyond just sitting there staring out the window. And it can be something small to start that she feels like she needs to intervene with, or she can. And my like initial thought was like maybe her next daydream is of like two of the kids running around playing, and they drop their doll and they're yelling at each other, "Where is it? You took it.
Perfect.
I think you hid it. No, I didn't hide it. You definitely did." And in her point of view in the daydream, she can see that the doll is under a seat behind a bag, and then she kind of like comes to as she hears the kids run by her, and then she hears that conversation, "You stole my doll." "No, you didn't." And she kind of has to like peek up and quietly, and it's just getting loud, and like she first tries to ignore it, like not gonna get involved, not getting involved. They're trying to yell,
Yep.
and she's like, "All right, I know how to solve this. I'm not gonna sit quietly anymore." And she just kind of stands up and goes, "Excuse me, is there any way you can get them to stop yelling to the parents or whatever?" Like, to say happens sometimes. And then she's like, "Well, the doll is right there under your seat."
The kid at that point would say like, "I can't find my stuff. I can't find my stuffed dog. I can't find my stuffed dog."
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, it's under this." And then she realizes like 5 like in the back of the train car by the luggage. She's like, "Yeah, it's back there." And the kids go get it, and
The mom's kind of like, "Thank you. How did you see that earlier? Did you see them earlier?" And she was like,
then she questions. She's like, "Wait, how did I? Huh? Weird. I must have
right.
saw it
Right.
when I was throwing my luggage
Exactly
back
right.
there." And,
Writes it
you know.
off again as some kind of some subconscious thing she noticed.
But before that conversation, we see her daydream of putting the luggage back there
Yes.
and the animal back there.
Yep.
I don't want to get too loose with daydream. That could be like a flashback. So maybe she's She's in the train. She's looking out the window and she's daydreaming of working at a hotel, and she's like the concierge and she's putting people's luggage away.
Okay.
And when she goes to put someone's luggage away, she sees the stuffed doll. And then she wakes up to the kids yelling, and she's like, "Oh, I think it's in the back by the luggage." And then the kid goes to find it,
Okay.
and she's like, "Holy shit! Like, wait a minute, that was a."
Very weird. So maybe she's daydreaming a parallel world. Well, her daydreams aren't exactly what she sees, but it's enough. There are enough things similar where she's like knows where the doll is, expected that guy to pick up her garbage, that sort of thing. I like
Yep,
that.
like we get as the audience, we get an idea that she's going into a daydream. Like she'll put her AirPods in,
Right.
and she'll look out the window, and the camera will kind of fly out the window through the fields,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, in this case, you're in the hotel where we see her working, putting baggage away, or maybe even in an airline or something like that. And it's a daydream. She's disconnecting from being on the train. We
Yeah.
see the stuffed animal, and that incident happens. I don't want it to get repeated to death,
Right.
but it happens enough times in between the train. There's something else. There's something going on in the train that she's dealing with as well. It can't just be all like, oh, she
Just
found
little
the stuffed
things,
animal, and then
I
she
know.
goes back to
I was
daydreaming
having
again.
that thought as well. Like it has to be maybe like a bigger problem with the train or with some person people
Eventually,
on the train. Yeah.
Eventually, the last day, I'll give you the last daydream. One of the kids is missing from the train.
Okay.
Maybe it's that same kid.
Good.
And we can't find the kid in the train cart, and people start looking, and that's the final daydream sequence that we have before I try and tie everything together.
Okay, sweet.
I'm hoping to get like a little bit of meat in between.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So what's gonna? Okay, so she kind of she probably needs one more weird but not too crazy thing to some daydream that comes true, basically to happen to her for her to be like basically get up out of her seat and move parts of the train because she's freaking out a little bit. So maybe that could be just as simple as like conversations you overhear somebody having on the phone, or oh, here it is. She's zoning out again, and again, maybe she's in the daydream not on a train, but she's on a plane or a bus or something, and she is looking at the window of that bus and sees like basically how can we do this on a train? Like someone kind of step in front of the bus, and the bus swerves briefly, and a suitcase on the bus falls and hits someone on the head, and they fall down on the train. And she's like, "Oh my god!" And that pulls her out, and she kind of wakes up, looks at the window, and sees like a snowdrift is like about to fall into the train car in front of her, and she sees an old woman and a briefcase above, so she gets up and runs down there without even thinking, and as the drift kind of smacks into the train a little bit, just enough to wobble it. This is not a catastrophe, just enough to bump the car. She gets there and like pushes the woman out of the way or grabs the suitcase or whatever. So like, and now she's like, holy crap. And the woman's just like, oh, thank you, dear. She's oblivious and useless, but
Okay, I like this.
okay.
Is a
It's gonna
second.
mess, it's gonna mess your
No,
ending
just
up.
a small change maybe.
Okay, yes.
So we're on the bus with her.
Yeah.
She might even be a little bit younger. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
She's on the bus looking out the window, and then you
Yes.
hear like, "Hey, babe, are you daydreaming again?" And she looks over and she sees her partner.
Yep.
And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just, I'm nervous about going to meet your parents for the first time and everything." And as they're having this talk, something similar to what you like, the
Right.
bus swerves,
Right.
and someone's luggage or someone's coffee or something goes flying and like
Right.
spills all over her partner.
Okay.
And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And she's looking through her purse for some napkins or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we jump back out of her daydream
Okay.
into the train
Yep.
where she like comes out just in time to see this woman precariously holding her
Yeah.
coffee, and she's
Yeah.
about to spill it on the man in front of her.
Okay,
And she
okay.
jumps to save, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Right.
Wait a minute. I thought." And like at this
Yeah.
point now she's realizing she's like, "Oh, I'm
Right.
not with my partner. I'm
Right.
on a train
Right,
alone right
alone.
now." And she even calls. She's like, I'm sorry, Bert, I don't know, whatever
Right.
his name.
Okay, sweetheart, even. Just call him sweet nothing.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sweetheart.
Yeah.
I don't. And she's like, I don't know you.
Right.
So we
Right.
see this kind of play out, and she's like, wait a
Yes.
minute, I thought I was. Oh man.
Yes.
So
Yes.
and then I don't know how we show this, but she's starting to develop a longing for this life that she keeps going to daydream.
Got it. Well, that's why she keeps going back to Daydream. And I don't know how we show it. You're right, but like, she's kind of, yeah, maybe she's kind of clued in a little bit to like, I don't know why or how, but like my memories are clearer than ever or whatever right now on this train. This is great. Like I can keep daydreaming and stuff. So she
Yeah,
can,
like and maybe even like that could be like a bigger daydream, but there could be some in between like smaller ones where she comes back and she feels like maybe someone from her life is on this train, and she's like, oh, I have to go find my mom. She was just sitting back here.
okay.
Because these daydreams start getting more real for her, and then she comes back to the train and.
Well, I was gonna say, maybe they start blending together, like maybe in the whole coffee spilling sweetheart scenario, she's like, oh, I'm not with him, but something's going on, like I haven't, and maybe the old woman or whoever is like, she can be a device to help explain to the audience what the woman is thinking by just asking her, are you okay, dear? You look like you've seen a ghost, and
Nice.
she's kind of like, yes, I thought I'm just missing someone, and I haven't thought about them this way in a while, or she says something like that where it's very clear that she's having some kind of reaction to these memories, and as she kind of starts to like sit down and talk to this old woman, she kind of out of the corner of her eye sees what looks like that guy on the bus like exit the car she's in and go, oh good, and go right to and go into the next car. Just see the back of his head and a trench coat, nondescript. But like but you can tell by her reaction, she's like, is that him?
Yeah, and she might even get up to go check,
think
and they're
she
like, "That's
should.
the dining car. It's not open right now.
Exactly
No
right.
one's in there."
Yeah, as she's about to enter, right, a porter comes out and is like, "Oh, sorry, ma'am." She's like, "Well, I think someone I know just went in there. It's just me in there. Just been me in there folding napkins
just
for
getting
3
ready.
hours."
Yeah.
Right. Well, that sounds fucking
Can I
horrible.
get you anything?
Right, a napkin? Right, exactly.
And somewhere in here too, I also think it would be helpful if
Yep.
we saw inside her bag or her purse or something.
Okay.
And there's, I promise this will hopefully make sense at the end. There's a couple of handfuls of prescription pill bottles.
Ooh, okay.
So and maybe this will imply that she's coming down, going through withdrawal.
bottles, okay.
But they're prescription pills. You just see
Got
a bunch of them, a handful in there. And because at that point, I want the audience to start thinking like, oh, she needs to take those pills
Right.
that are in there. And she looks at them and she just kind of like shoves them aside.
Yes.
Maybe I love the idea of the old man giving her an opportunity to kind of share a little bit about what's going on. Maybe she's texting or journaling in between, so we can get like a shot of her at some point saying like, I'm just so confused. I don't know why I'm on this train right now.
Right. I was thinking about journaling or something, or that she can kind of be writing down
I think
stuff.
texting would be pretty easy
Ooh,
too.
Yeah. Maybe we don't know who she's texting. Maybe no one's texting back. She's just texting her
Yep.
thoughts to someone, and just no response. And maybe we just see the three dots, but then no one ever says anything.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah. So she's convinced someone is about to respond, but doesn't yet. Okay, so that can work. Her texting some unknown entity.
Just to get at some point, I want you to know that she's kind of uncomfortable with this situation. Like she doesn't know why she's on this train. And maybe even, I'm just interjecting a whole bunch of random things. This isn't a story yet, but at some point you hear the announcer jump on. He's like, there's been a problem with our scheduled stop. We're going to have to skip it and loop back around. Sorry about it. We'll comp your next 2 meals. We're going to be on this train
Oh.
for another 6 to 7 hours.
Okay, so they're gonna have to. So they can't go to where they thought they were going. They have to divert.
Yep.
Okay, and go back.
And
okay.
she's kind of really she doesn't understand fully why, but she's pretty upset about like, man, I've been on this train forever. I was like I don't even know why I was going there, but I don't want to be on here another 7 hours.
This is tricky, but I wonder. I don't know if this might mess up your. If this messes up your ending, we don't need to do it. But what if? Okay, so if we enter like the time loop thing, basically, she could. Oh man. So she only has like, maybe this is overcomplicated, but I'll put it out there. So she only has like, so she comes out of that tunnel when the story starts, and we kind of learn as the movie goes on that she only has until the next tunnel before she restarts her let's say 15 minutes between tunnels. And so what, and she figures that out like immediately. And maybe the first time through, just to give us more wiggle room later, everything that just happened has happened. They make the announcement and they say like, you know, we're going to get through this next tunnel in about 5 minutes, and then we'll be able to get on a different track and turn back around. And as the porter or whoever comes through the aisles and she's like, what's wrong? Is something wrong with the train? He says like, you know, yeah, I think there's something in the engine room, nothing to worry about, but they seem to be an issue with something up there. Ambiguous at first, but basically like she goes through the tunnel and then it restarts and she's kind of back in her original seat and confused, and the kids run by again, or the guy forgets about her garbage. And now this time she's like hyper aware of it because it's happened. She saw it once, then it happened in real life, and now she's seeing it again. She's like, what the hell's going on? Kind of freaking out a little bit. But the larger thing that she's going to try to figure out that we can kind of walk through right now, if it doesn't mess everything up, is like, basically she needs to get out of those 15 minutes as much as possible to figure out what the hell's happening to her before it all restarts again. Like all she has is those 15 minutes, and she gets it in her head that if she can figure out what's wrong with the train and help out up there, then maybe she can get more time. Like maybe they won't have to divert and turn around.
Okay, I think that can all work.
Okay.
I like the tunnel as a reset point. Even it honestly, just storytelling wise, it makes it easier than to keep going. Then you can go back and tell the same story, but she's the difference.
Right, and then she can like jump through stuff quickly. Like she can get up. So the third time it happens is just weird, and she like doesn't really know what to do. It doesn't use her time well, and then she's like literally like, I gotta get to the front of this train at like right before they get to the tunnel.
But okay, sorry, but instead of I need to get to the front of the train and realizing that, I need a way for her to realize that she has to turn the train around. She can't go to where the train is going.
Perfect. So
okay.
If this messes stuff up, maybe we okay.
Like, and I don't know, through a series of daydreams, she starts to realize that she misses her partner.
Yeah.
She misses her. She thinks she has a child. They're not with her. She's like, I can't go without these people. I don't know where this train's going, but I don't want to go without these people that I love that keep showing up in my daydream, but they're not here on this train.
Right. Okay. And how about this? We'll add something to that first session. The first daydream session before she gets to the tunnel is, so after she helps the person who's going to get the coffee spilled on them, and then the old man is asking her like what's wrong, and she sits down and then sees the guy run into the dining car, and she goes up there. The porter stops her as she turns around, kind of someone who looks like probably a man in a hoodie, can't see their face, with a backpack on, kind of bumps into her as he goes into the dining car, and the guy's like, hey, you can't go in there, and he just kind of pushes him out of the way and just zips through there, and the guy's like, some people, are you all right, ma'am? I gotta go deal with him, and then he disappears into the dark. And after that guy, and you don't really see them again, but this character is on the train, and at first he just kind of looks sketchy, but you don't really realize it and what's going on. And then 5 minutes later, the announcement comes on of, we got to turn this train around.
Okay, so this plays through a couple of times.
Yes.
And then eventually she works through the trials where she actually is able to get there quick enough where she can actually get that guy's attention who goes in there.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is that the third time, this is when she becomes like a pro. She like gets up, takes her garbage, throws it out herself, tells the kid, hey, your rabbit's back there, goes, grabs the coffee that's going to spill, throws it away, and then so like jumps through all this stuff in like a minute, and then it's like, I'm going to get into that dining car as soon as possible, and maybe she gets up there and it's locked the first time. She's like, damn it. Like, I thought if I did it all quicker, I'd get here in time, but that didn't work. So she kind of is like walking back through her steps, kind of freaking out, texting her, something's going wrong. Like I took, maybe she like took her last pill. Maybe it's empty. Maybe the bottles are empty. And she's like, I didn't bring my refills. Like, what did we do last time this happened? Like, can you help me calm me down? Can you call me, please? And just like the dots keep happening, but no response. And then as she's freaking out, she walks towards back to where the luggage is, and she sees the guy kind of going through the bag, and he's got like screwdrivers and a monkey wrench and gloves and a bunch of stuff in there that looks, and a map or a diagram of the engine room of the train. And she sees that. She's like, hey, I bumped into you at the dining car. And he's like, what? And he's like, all right, never mind. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Do you work for the train? What are you trying to do right now? And he kind of freaks out a little bit. And it's like, what do you mean? And maybe he runs away. And she's like, stop that guy. And they try to stop him. And then they hit the tunnel.
But he says something to her before he goes away.
Okay.
He says something to her that we've heard her partner say on the bus before.
Okay.
Before he goes away up there.
Okay.
He's like, it'll be okay, sport, or whatever.
Okay,
like,
sure, got it.
And then he goes up there,
Right.
it just catches her off guard because
Enough to freak her out even more. Right. Perfect. So she yells for help.
Do you want me to tell you where I think this ends that you can help more?
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
No. As long as I'm not messing it up, you got to tell me to stop if I am.
Yeah. So she's made her way through this enough times.
But now she knows this guy's a problem, probably because he ran, but also, right. So this time she comes back and she's like, "Where the fuck is this guy?"
And
But also, there's the other problem she's got to solve, even though the doll is not world ending and neither. But it's enough.
Yep. She's got to go through these steps and
Right.
and each time maybe it happens like a little bit differently.
Sure.
Like maybe one of the times the kid says something or does something that makes her think of her own memory of her own child.
Okay.
And then the guy with the toolkit and she's like, what do you work for the train? What are you going to do? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. It'll be okay, sport. And he disappears and they go through the tunnel again.
Right.
And then, so eventually, oh, damn, I had it and I lost it.
Story of my life. Eventually.
Yeah. So the guy fixing the train is he's trying to do something to the train. She's trying to. She thinks she needs to stop him.
Yes. Yes.
And I have to say it because I need help.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, let's do it.
At the end of this train journey,
Yes.
we realize that there's two options here, and one of them is a little more classic.
Okay.
So we realize that she is in a hospital bed, dying.
Yep. Okay. Got
and
it.
her family isn't going to come with her, and she's like coming in and out of consciousness, and
Yes.
then she starts to realize she's going to miss her family and everything.
Yes.
Or we realize that she is an addict, and those pills, like maybe she takes a pill and it makes her feel better, but she knows she can't take them because those
Got
are like
it.
what drugs were.
Yes.
And she's leaving her family behind because she's an addict.
She can't stop herself.
And then she needs to fix that. But then I don't understand why she's in this train daydreaming, other than maybe she overdosed, and this is like her brain like firing synapses to try and realize, like, do you want to die on this train without your family?
Well, okay. Yes. So all right. Yes. Got it. So now I know. Now I have maybe more answers. But if this whole thing is a metaphor, if this is her brain trying to make sense of what's happening, then like the train is her. It's broken down because she is broken as a person. Like, they're alerting the alert on the loudspeaker is like your heart or your brain being like, hey, there's a problem here.
Yep.
Like, you need to fix it. And that's why she keeps getting drawn to the guy who's trying to destroy it. And he's not real. He's just like all of her, her vices, her inability to, control her impulses or whatever personified. Maybe the man that she had the memories with, gosh, maybe that was a relationship that ended poorly, that maybe drove her to addiction. She's like fighting to come back for her daughter.
Okay, I like this. So the memory of the memory of them on the bus, like that was a happier memory.
Right,
but then she also has
exactly.
other memories
Yes.
in these
Yes.
daydreams of that falling apart.
Yep, of it all
and
falling
but her
apart.
child the whole time, like that's
Yeah.
what she realizes she wants to come
Correct.
back for. So the guy's actually a bad influence.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
I like that.
Yep, and this guy trying to break the train is her own subconscious trying to derail her life with these drugs that she keeps looking for, even though she knows she shouldn't be taking them. And so what we're witnessing is somebody basically trying to rewire their own brain to do the right thing, which is kick this habit. So what could but really it's yeah, it's keep stick around for the people that matter the most, that rely on you. So how do we? So knowing all that, an idea I had may work where she's trying to just give herself more time each time between tunnels. Now she knows, and maybe she kind of figures that out. Like she corners the guy the next time and like she's again progressively she's doing this 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times. She's freaking out. She's got no help from the outside world. So her phone, nothing's helping her there. The other people on the train, she's deciding probably not to try to freak them out. There's no one on like from the train company, like a conductor or whatever, that can help her. It's just her in there. And so she's looking around for help. It's just you, dude. You got to figure this out yourself. And then she like 6th or 7th time seeing this guy like just grabs him by the lapels or whatever. It's like, who put you here? Like, what are you doing? And he's like, you did. Like, you put me here.
Nice.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm here to just take this train out just like we talked about. And she's like, what do you mean I put you here? I don't know you. I've never seen you before. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, you may not know me, but I know you better than anyone in the world.
Yes.
And then like pushes her down and shoots down the train aisle and disappears in the dining car. And again, she tries to chase him and can't, getting pissed off. And so she comes up. So the tunnel scene happens again. She wakes up and she's like, holy crap, what did that guy mean? And maybe she's starting a little bit to like put it together. Like, and this could be, so here's the other thing. And maybe this is too, whatever. Like, maybe now like time 7 or 8 that she's gone through this, some kind of, as the audience at the time, surreal stuff starts to happen. Like maybe when she comes back from her daydream this time and she's on the train and she looks around the train car, she hears like the beeping of like a heart monitor machine, and then she like looks and like sees just randomly like in the aisle like a heart monitor machine and like an empty hospital bed or something, and she's like, what the hell? And she turns to be like, what is that? And then it's gone. So she's like, the real world's bleeding in a little bit to give her these clues of like, you're not where you think you are, you need to get out of here, but like only you can do it. Okay. And so where we're going to work towards, and we can probably get there right now, is like she's kind of figuring out like all right, forget about the guy. If I just I can't stop him before he gets to the dining car. If I can just get to the engine room first, like I can stop him there. And like I don't know how he gets through this door. It's always locked when I do it. But so I'm just gonna try to climb on the roof of this train and get there that way. So like this is her, kind of taking a leap of faith, being scared, but like tries to climb out the window, and one of the kids is like, what are you doing, ma'am? Don't hurt yourself. And she's like, it's too late for that. Like I have to do this.
Save yourself.
Save yourself, child. Give me that stupid dog. And so she like, gets on the top of the dining car, and maybe she fails at this the first time. Maybe she falls off, or maybe she
100%.
Okay,
the tunnel hits her or
perfect.
something like that.
Exactly right. Wrecked by the tunnel. Mountains are tough, man. But yeah, so she's trying to do that again, but like takes too long to make the decision this go around. So boom, tunnel happens, or she falls off or whatever, wakes up again. She's like, all right, that's my plan. I gotta throw my own garbage away, get the doll for this kid, move the coffee for this old dude. Forget about the guy with the tools. I'm gonna get there before he can, and prevent him from doing this. Climbs up on the train, and maybe she. So what have we seen already? Like maybe she grabs, okay, we're in a train in the Alps. Maybe she also sees like some hikers that have put their bags down and are taking a day instead of hiking on the train. So she goes through their bags and grabs like climbing gear. It's like something that'll help her tie herself to the train a little bit, or better boots or something that helps her get across the train. She's got to do it. She's got to get on the roof, climb on the roof, get past the dining car, and that's the front of the train. That's where the engine room is. So she gets there, and as soon as she gets there, the guy's there too, already there, obviously. And it's this kind of showdown between her and what we know is her subconscious. Is this tracking, John?
I like where you're going.
And she's got to fight this guy, and he gets a bunch of licks in. But ultimately, like, so this is where we can have some kind of poetic something happen, where like maybe he's about to like stab her with a ice pick or something, and like the phone that she's been texting for help with is in her pocket, and she knows that, so he stabs at it. And we don't see that as the audience, but like he thinks he's got her knocked out, but it hit the phone.
Are you building up to like what's going to be a revelation?
I think
okay, so I just want to redo it a little bit.
Okay.
So the battle between her and the guy.
Yes.
Less of a physical fight, more of an emotional,
Okay.
kind of like he said, she said, back and forth.
Okay.
He's making her feel terrible. Like emotionally, she's getting beat up.
Okay.
And but she's in control where she could do what she needs to with the train, like she could fix
Okay.
it or stop it or whatever. And then so the guy says, "Well, what are you going to do about this?" And he kicks a window open, and he's got the kid, and he's like, "I'm going to throw this kid out the window if you don't go back to your seat." And so now she needs to make a decision: does she give up on all the progress she made to get here to this point, to save that kid, or does she stop the train and save herself? Right?
Oh. Okay.
And I think it's a metaphor again, and it's not very clouded, but I think she has to save the kid. So we just need to play up her getting there, where like somehow maybe even if we could figure out how to write in where this might be like her last chance.
Okay.
And it's
Sure.
and it's now it's like, oh, like what price are you willing to pay? A kid's life, you're trying to get home to your kid. This guy's gonna throw him out the train, and he's gonna die in the Alps or whatever. So she makes a decision to.
How about to slight adjust, because I like this. I want to do this, but maybe she gets there, as the guy gets there, and he's ready to fight, and she just grabs his like bag of tools and throws him out the window, so he can't do what he came there to do anymore. And so they're kind of grappling, and he's more yelling at her. So she's won, like she's done it already. She's prevented him from being able to mess up the train engine. So as a result, he's like, all right, well, like I need to do something. Grabs the kid and is like, all right, you gotta get out of my way and like let me finish my job. Like we got to do this together, or I'm gonna let go of this kid. So like that way she can save herself, the train, but then also like. So like basically what he's saying is like, I'm gonna go and, you know, because I'm all your bad choices. I'm gonna go up to the driver's seat and take control again, unless you come grab this, or I'm gonna throw this kid out of the window, like your pick. And basically she's like, all right, I will go save the kid, and like you can take over the train, like whatever, I don't care. And maybe she even daydreams at that moment, like we see her kind of zoning out again, and she like we look at the train, and the train's empty of people, like no one's there. So her only thought of like, I don't want these people to die, that's gone. She kind of understands like, oh, those people weren't people. They were just thoughts and emotions and parts of my past that kind of showed up in this weird, you know, drug-induced dream I'm having, like hospital drug dream that I'm having in this coma or whatever. Yeah, so now she does. She goes and like jumps and grabs the kid before he falls out of the train and pulls him close just as the guy gets to the front. And, you know, is about to, you know, do whatever he's going to try to do to the train to destroy it. But, oh, man, how could she further prevent him from winning? I mean, it could just...
I think at that point, once she, like, makes a decision to choose the kid over the train, the guy, and everything else, like, that's her choosing her kid.
Perfect. So maybe he just freezes then. He tries to get to the front of the train, but because she chose the kid and not herself, he's like, I can't do anything anymore, and just like disappears.
Yeah, like that's like the moment of victory for herself, is making that choice.
Yep.
And even then, like you could probably get Hollywood fancy with the cinematography, but from that, she goes to embrace the kid.
Yep.
And then we're almost warped immediately to her in a paramedic crash cart or something like that.
Sure, okay.
And her kids, they're like, Mom, don't leave me. And so then we see like the actual reality of this, which is why I don't want you to see that coming as much during the build up. So like really subtle hints.
Yeah.
But then, you know, then you see like, oh, okay, cool. She was, I mean, it's campy, but like this was a dream. Sure, it was a daydream series of them.
Yeah, it was like a crazy
overdose,
fever
dream.
right, drug dream. That's different.
And then we come back. She chooses the kid, and we come back, and we see, and maybe the paramedics say like, I mean, she was down for like a minute.
She was dead. She's been dead for 5 minutes at least. So I hope she
like, sorry, kid. I don't know if your mom's gonna make. And then she comes back.
Right, and then and then
honestly, that's the scene. But that ideally, you might have. I want you to have had maybe a hint or two. I know we went over this really fast and made it up on the fly, but. But that should be the first time you really realize, like, you knew the train was weird and that it might not even be reality, but that should be the first time you really see the whole picture where she was really battling for her life and eventually made the decision to save a child, her child, and save herself for it.
And then two things happen at the end. That'll be fun little movie magic nuggets. So we like we fast forward like 3 months in the future, and she is sitting in like a therapist's office, just kind of like at the end of the session, talking about like, yeah, it's tough, single mom, but making it work, and the new job's great, and blah blah blah. Like clearly her life's together. She looks healthier or whatever.
Nice.
And then as she walks out into the and maybe I'm sure the therapist will say some kind of wise sentence at the end that ties in maybe some train language or something that makes her go, Although she could have probably told the therapist about the entire train thing, so maybe that doesn't make
trains
sense.
are the only vehicle we travel on where their path is predetermined.
Right, something like that, right, exactly. I'm glad you weren't on a motorboat or a gambling barge. No, but she so she walks into the reception room, and her kid is there, like playing with a toy train, let's say, and the therapist is like, why don't you take that home? Every time you come, he plays with it, but no one else does. That train could be yours. And so she kind of like, okay, cool. And the kid's excited about it. And then as they're sitting on the, let's say, she gets in her car and is going to drive back. She kind of sits before it turns the car on for a second and kind of looks out the window. And the kid goes, Mom, what are you looking at? What are you thinking about? So like she looks, she's about to start daydreaming again. And she just goes, nothing at all. And just like no more daydreams for her. She's got what she needs. She's not trying to run. Not even daydreaming, just ready to go forward in a car that she can control where it goes, as opposed to a train, and just it ends.
So I'd also like somewhere in there to have the train be a reference to Karen, the boatman of the dead.
Oh, okay.
Like across the river Styx. Like it doesn't have to be so much, but just for me personally, if I made this movie, I would have Karen or like the bridge of Styx or something. Here.
Well, how about this? We could do this, which I'll be back into like the third act. Oh man, I don't know how. This is tough to do with keeping everything a secret for the entire movie, but if we could somehow, before the end, before she comes out of the train like triumphant, maybe we see for the first time the paramedics in the real world and stuff, and maybe it's like it will be super unclear, like what the hell, we're on a train, why am I now in the rain in a street watching some woman whose face I can't really see, or just some paramedics operating, maybe we don't even see what they're looking at, and
like maybe it's another daydream.
Exactly right, and they're kind of like, she's getting worse, not better, like we gotta do something quick. And so the reason the train is going back and forth, the reason it can't go through that last tunnel is death. And whoever runs this train, the universe, the Prince of Darkness, I don't care, is like trying to kill her. I mean, it's
take
like
her to take her to
right. And so it hasn't happened yet. So she has this, because she's fighting to live. Like they thought, she's on the train, she's good as dead, she'll be dead in 15 minutes. Let's put her on the train to the afterworld, but she's not going to the happy place. So maybe though the last time, instead of resetting, she goes through the tunnel and she does see like some horrible dark underworld thing, and it could be literal, like the happy mountains go away and it's like flaming, demon zombies. It could just be like a darker world. It could be like all the people she's let down. It could be whatever, I don't know, but like some version of clearly like things have gone off the rails. but some evil dark place. And as that's happening on the outside, you don't even see it very long as the audience, because this is when she's in the middle of trying to, like, outsmart her evil intentions. This dude who's trying to destroy the train, but she just kind of like goes into the tunnel and then comes out and she's like, oh my god! But it's not light; it's just dark. And she looks outside and there's a flaming lake or whatever it is.
Yeah,
but
some
maybe she gets there.
representation
Right.
of
but that's
hell.
that's why it also kind of explains why the train is going back and forth again and again. Is like she's like keeps basically like flatlining and then coming back to life. She's fighting in the real world to stay alive.
You could even make so like I made a reference to the kid being missing towards the end of that 15-minute interval, and so the kid is missing. Obviously, we
Yes.
know at the end of this movie that the kid is taken up to the front of the train by
Right.
her evil intentions.
Right.
But maybe there could even be one or two other people that's missing if you want to get really deep into it, and that tunnel is where you make the drop off to the afterlife, like
Right.
people that have actually fully passed over. They're not
Right.
on the boat anymore, the train in this case.
Right.
That's not going to make the movie or break it, but
Yeah, but I like that. And maybe even in the tunnel, she sees like some positive people briefly who are like, you can do this. And it's her high school soccer coach or whatever. There's briefly a flash of like, there's so much you could do with a story like this. Little tidbits
honestly,
and odds and ends and
a
things.
story about the road to hell. I mean, like, yeah, obviously
Right.
Dante's Inferno made a pretty
Sure.
big deal of it.
Yeah.
But the story about like riding with Karen and
Yes.
like the crazy shit that he might put you through, or you might
Right.
experience, like, I like the tie-in to the Greek river Styx, where you actually go to Hades
Yeah.
in this train. I like that.
That'd be
and
fun,
her
too.
kind of in it starting modern Airbuds texting. You're just
Yep.
wondering what's going on. I would hope that in this film we could do it in such a way that things are weird, but I don't want you to expect
Sure.
that that we're gonna come out. She's on a hospital bed. Like, I don't want you to see that until the end.
Right.
And I don't know. I think we did okay.
And we did it, yeah, because now we know that all these kind of premonitions and daydreams and stuff, they were memories from her life that she's projecting in her head. So and that's why she's seeing them again on the train, but that's why the daydreams are different, is because like when it happened to her, it was on a bus and not a train, or it was, somewhere else. Like, yeah, I think we did a good job at like having the real world kind of bleed into this fake one, but have it just kind of seem like someone who's maybe having some different form of deja vu. Or I think it does make, and I don't know like what's in the bag, but I think like having a MacGuffin, having some red herring bag that she's trying to hide the whole time, will also get the audience thinking like money,
Yep.
drugs, a baby. Like, what is she hiding? What is she, illegal fruit? Like, what is she trying to get away with on this train? Not realizing that like she's the train. Oh yeah, these movies are a lot of fun. It's not what we did, but when I had that thought originally of like some kind of Shutter Island like movie, that's more involved. That is actually happening to him, but he's kind of imagining some of it. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I like this. I like what we did, John. Good thinking there.
It felt good. You did a lot of work. I felt pretty good. It wasn't quite a Lord P scenario, but I felt pretty good when I was initially thinking about what is this girl going to end up doing on the train.
I love
She's
this.
leaving her family. She's on her deathbed, something like that. And I think
Right.
you really helped
Yep.
tie it together.
These movies are fun to watch too, because you're guessing like, right, is it a dream? Is it real? Is she dead? Is this heaven? Is she just trying to escape with some drugs?
And we got a protagonist.
Yeah.
She's got a problem. She goes through some trials.
Yep.
I think like she
comes back changed. Yep.
Exactly. She comes back a different, hopefully better person for it. Effectively, we made a movie that was don't do drugs.
Exactly, right.
But it was also a movie about moderation. Like, choose and be thoughtful about what's important to you.
Yes, that is exactly right. There's only one life. It's not a spectator sport. Don't let drugs get in the driver's seat of your train. No drunk conductor in this light. Well, other than this booze.
Yeah,
Just
fair.
kidding. Woo! Holy guacamole, John. All right, we did it again. My God. All right. What is it? Window seat daydream? Is that what we did?
Window seat daydreamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daydreamer. Okay, cool. This is great. This is awesome. What do you think? I feel good.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with this one. And when we get back together next week, we'll probably find something we could have done different. But what do you think? I mean,
Yes.
that's the ultimate question. Is this good enough to earn a movie ticket from you at your local movieplex? Is it maybe straight to DVD or VHS if you're my age? Really, I mean, seriously, let us know what you think if you're watching this. We'll share our favorite reviews, just like a restaurant owner shares his favorite Yelp reviews.
Yes, exactly. Tell us all about it. Remember to follow us on Instagram. We'll put a lot of sneak peeks there of upcoming episodes. Untapped, again, follow us there. Find Beer Me That Movie, because your check-ins may show up in the Fast Five, or maybe next week's movie. You never know. At YouTube, we're there if you want to see our faces, or your favorite podcast app if you just want to listen in your own earbuds on the train or bus or a plane or running or whatever you do. And you can see what's dropping next over there.
Until then,
Yes. Peace punch and give me your lunch. I cannot say that when it's so stupid. Drink some beer. Don't let your beer drink you. Hop off the train. Live your life. That's all I've got.
peace punch and give me your lunch.
Peace punch and give me your lunch. All right. Good night.